And just like that, Dana White confirms that Conor McGregor is in fact out of his bout with Michael Chandler, 303.
Alright guys, here I am again. Conor McGregor is out of 303 versus Michael Chandler with an injury.
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
Speculation about leg injuries, head injuries, contract negotiations, and just Conor being incapable of coming off the Chaz has been ripe for the last week. But now we get the confirmation from Dana White that he is in fact out of this with an injury. We don't know what sort of an injury it is yet. They're saying that he will be back in 2 months' time. I guess Michael Chandler's going to wait another 2 months for this bout.
You'll do what you're told.
So as I said, Conor's been adamant that this is going ahead. Chandler's been adamant that this is going ahead. We've had mixed messages from the likes of Ariel Helwani, which the MMA community seem to be a little bit perturbed about, and they want him to take his huge nose out of everybody's business. I'm not too pushed with that, to be honest. I'm actually happy enough to get the information coming out of that guy. You take it wherever it comes from. But even up until yesterday, we had videos that were being put out by Conor McGregor on his social media that were a little bit nostalgic, a little bit worrying, and a little bit positive, if you can believe that. Have a look.
Yeah, I think the more resistance you train with, the less movement and the more injury. But the less resistance you train with, the more movement and the less injury. So it balances itself out. You might be going a little bit lighter, but you're in positions that you wouldn't be if everyone was tense. Everyone was trying to win every round.
So this was a social media post that Conor put out yesterday and quickly deleted it. I don't know where he was in terms of headspace. Maybe he thought that he was gonna get over the line and that he was gonna be able to be fit. Last week during a live stream on my channel, I read out some comments from a person who's living in Dublin. And of course, these are all anecdotal, but he did say that his friend was working in the neurological department of the hospital in Dublin and that Conor McGregor spent one of the days in there right after the press conference was cancelled. That was extremely worrying. He went on to say speculatively that Conor might never make it back to the octagon. Now, across the MMA community, we have ex-fighters, commentators, YouTubers all saying the exact same thing, that he's never going to actually make it back into the octagon. I think that would be a shame. We all want to see him get back in there. But in the same breath, how much more of this can we actually put up with? If we go all the way back to New Year's Eve when he made his maniacal laughing announcement that him and Chandler were going to be going at it. Nothing came to fruition. 6-7 months later, we're almost over the line, falls down again. So there's no definitive answers on why he's out of this fight in terms of what the injury actually is. Up until yesterday, he was posting on social media. Even the video that he posted on social media yesterday was alluding to the fact that maybe you don't have to train so much to become a better fighter. Maybe it was in his head, I don't know. Michael Chandler was also posting on social media yesterday, and then today got community noted over on Twitter, which means Twitter's officials or like a peer group go in there and decide whether what you're saying is lies or truth. And they came to the conclusion, after Dana came out and made the announcement that the fight was cancelled, that Michael Chandler was actually telling lies. As you can see, Michael Chandler just put this out yesterday. The amount of times these fighters have pulled out of fights in their entire career. Notorious MMA, 0. Michael Chandler MMA, 0. Hashtag UFC 303. Readers' context was added by community noters that saying that Conor McGregor has actually pulled out of a scheduled bout with Michael Chandler at UFC 303. So in fact, this wasn't the truth, and do you find this helpful? Bit of a stingy little move by Twitter to go after him in the aftermath of the announcement, because when he put this out, he was in fact telling the truth. So that's a little bit snaky in my opinion. But what this tells me is that Conor McGregor, Michael Chandler were still just up until yesterday putting out social media posts believing that this fight was still going to happen at the end of the month. So what happened? Was Conor telling the truth to Dana and the upper echelons at the UFC in terms of the seriousness of his injury? If it's a leg injury, if it's a head injury, I don't know where his mind space was in terms of getting this thing over the line. But the two lads were posting yesterday as if it was going to happen. So I can only imagine the torment that is going through Dana's head. Dana's announced Yuri Prochazka and Pereira the rematch to fill in as the title fight on this main card. Carlos Ulberg, Anthony Smith, Diego Lopez and Brian Ortega. Interesting card. Not the type of card that you want to be spending money booking flights and hotels and flying out there for. But in the same breath, I can understand that they're under the cosh and they have to get something over the line to try keep the fans happy. Dustin Poirier had a little reaction to Conor McGregor pulling out of UFC 303's injury with a little post saying hashtag nothing burger, because we know that during the speculation, during the theories, during all the talk of cancellation and the postponement, that Conor was putting out 500k pay-per-views at 302 done, a nothing burger. Again, I don't know where your mind space is in terms of getting ready for 303 and actually trying to fulfill your engagements. I think that time would have been better spent being a little bit more transparent with the fans, other than getting cheeky with Dustin Poirier, because he just reciprocated yesterday with nothing burger, and he's thereabouts in terms of being right, isn't he? So there you have it. The much anticipated return of the Mac, the return of the King Conor McGregor is done. Over and done with. I don't want to hear people talking about there's going to be a rescheduling of this fight in 1 month or 2 months. Right now people are confused, people are tired, people are upset, and I don't think we should be talking about rescheduling the fight. What we should do is move on from it, and if it does come to fruition, just see it for what it is. Just another fight now. And at the end of the day, we're left with all the same questions floating around in the air. What's the injury? How serious is the injury? Is it in fact an injury, or is that just a story? Is that the narrative that's been spun? I don't know. I literally don't know at this stage. Let me know your thoughts down below, and maybe hit like, subscribe and share if any of it made sense. Cheers.